Welcome back. This is the second video in my 5-part video series about reprogramming the subconscious so you can finally attract and keep a great romantic partner. Hi, I'm Emily Liu. I'm the author of Climax: Why Great Leaders Need Love Affairs. I help you climax in love with a deeply nourishing and fulfilling intimate partnership. In the first video of this series, the link is below, you learned about step 1 of the reprogramming process, which was about uncovering the negative beliefs about love that you're harboring. In that video, my client JB identified the disempowering beliefs about men that had her attract abusive relationships. In this video, you will watch step 2 in the process of reprogramming the subconscious, which is to befriend the inner voices. That is, the protectors who keep you stuck and block you from soulmate love. Let's see this next segment to see how JB sees her protectors and how she feels about them.
Yeah, it feels very much like armor, or it feels sort of like a battle, or like like an army. It's like a giant army, and then like the captains at the back, or the generals at the way back, and the army's all in front. A shield with lots of spikes on it. It feels like, just a lot of outward, forward, in front of me protection.
So do you see this army of men in front of you now?
Mm-hmm.
How long has this army of men been in your life?
Forever.
Always?
Yeah.
Always, since you were a kid?
Yeah.
Is there a number that comes to mind, like really young?
When you just said, is there a number, 3 came up. So 3
came up. Okay, so we'll go with that and see what happens. And as you look at this army, this hard shell armor, how do you feel towards them?
Grateful.
Great.
So glad they're there.
Good. I mean, usually, it's, we want to hate the parts of us that are holding us back, but it's great that you're connected to how they've been protecting you.
Mm-hmm. Super grateful.
And are you curious about what they want to say?
I do feel detached from them in the sense that they're in front of me, they surround me, but there's always space between me and them. So I don't feel like they're hugging me or they're wall to wall with me. It's like there's a distance between them and me. So they're always sort of out there. And if I move, they sort of just like a swarm, they just sort of move around me. So that is curious to me.
Mm-hmm. Would you say that most of these soldiers this is a male squad of soldiers?
Yeah, 100%.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, because our protectors can be it, a he or a she. So these are the masculine parts of you that protect.
Mm-hmm. And just so you know, I'm shaking and I feel cold, super cold.
Wow. So these parts are showing up in your body right now as you're talking about them.
Yeah, my hands are really cold, and I feel like if you're in a cold room.
And let's have you look at them and get all of their attention and let them know who you are and how old you are now. Because these are 3-year-old soldiers. Oh, now the soldiers have turned into bigger.
Yeah, so originally I felt like I was 3.
Okay.
And now but the soldiers have always been adult men. So now I feel more like I'm an adult, or more present. Like this could be today. This is not something that's in the past. It's sort of like right now. So I agree with you. I have some protectors that are they're just completely blocking me from even allowing anybody to even show up, because there have been men in my life who I've even just done business with or just been in association with. And even, they just trying to do their job, I still don't let them. I still don't believe it. I still compensate. I still come behind them and check it out and that sort of thing. So, it's really obvious to me that my protectors are just really stopping me from believing or allowing.
In the romantic setting, and also in business dealings and these beliefs that you have around men because of the traumas that you have experienced from the past. So we'll eventually get to that trauma through the doorway of the protectors. As you've witnessed, JB's higher self established a loving relationship with the army of parts who have kept her stuck. We don't often think about our protectors because they have always been there. Oftentimes, we aren't even aware of them. In this segment with JB, I was able to get her to see her critical voices as separate parts inside her, a process we call unblending. Once she unblended with her protectors, she was able to get curious about this army's story. You can think of these parts as the voices that talk to you all day long. These are your subpersonalities, or parts. You also have a higher self. Some people aren't even in touch with that self very much because it feels safer for them to walk around with layers of armor. This is because their unhealed childhood wound, those parts don't allow the playful, curious, compassionate, calm, and courageous self run the show. Here's a simple example that will help you to understand the difference between your higher self. Let's imagine that you're invited to a party. You haven't RSVP'd yet because a part of you wants to go to the party, and there's another part of you that just doesn't want to go to the party. They both have their reasons and their own motivations and agendas. When you zoom out to watch this tug-of-war between your parts and listen to the parts' arguments about whether or not you should go to the party, this you, the one that is doing the watching and the listening to your parts, is your higher self, or soul, or spirit. Sometimes these opposing voices can drive you crazy and you just want them to shut up. Why do parts take on such roles? The parts within are our internal operating system, and together they help us navigate life. Without them, we would not exist. An example is the car driving part. You know how you can drive your car and have a conversation at the same time? Sometimes you're not even aware of the fact that you are driving, but somehow you manage to do it safely. This is because your car driving part is managing the driving, kind of that autopilot feeling, while your other conversational part is thinking and talking. So we need our parts and we are indivisible from them. Sometimes parts can act out and take over our actions and our emotions. In these cases, they become extreme parts. Extreme parts are called protectors. For example, most of us have ice cream loving parts that are in check and don't go overboard. We eat ice cream when the mood or the occasion calls for it, without feeling the need to constantly indulge in ice cream. But some of us have an ice cream loving part that gets carried away and takes over our conscious actions and makes us binge on a whole pint of Haagen-Dazs. This is an example of how extreme parts can cause harm to us and others. You can substitute any other behavior for ice cream, such as shopping, drinking too much alcohol, eating sweets, or you could substitute an emotion such as anger or shyness. Let me offer an all too common story to illustrate the dance of what happens with our parts. Jane was a beautiful, visible, lively little girl that was hurt by her dad. Subconsciously, Jane feels the pain of this hurt decades later as an adult and does not want to risk being hurt again. Because of this childhood trauma, her ice cream loving protector part assumes an extreme role of seeking, feeling soothed and comforted by indulging in the very fleeting pleasure of eating lots of ice cream. Because it's so fleeting, her ice cream protector does this over and over, and Jane's once beautiful body is hidden by all the weight she gained. So this protector part has two jobs then. One is to soothe and numb her emotional pain from this childhood wound by eating ice cream to excess. And then the second job of this part is to keep her heavy, unattractive, and invisible to men, and thereby protecting her from being hurt by men. If you've ever experienced extreme forms of these behaviors and emotions, you may have woken up the next morning and said, "Who was that person that took over me last night? That's not me." So meet your extreme parts. That is your protectors. Here's an important point. Jane's ice cream eating loving protector is stuck in the past and doesn't know that Jane is an adult who knows how to tell the difference between good and bad men. Jane's ice cream eating loving protector will release its extreme role when Jane's higher self goes back into the original memories to rescue the young child parts of her out of the hurtful scenes. This is the healing process you will witness in this video series with my client JB. Once the young inner child that the ice cream loving part protects is rescued by the higher self and is safe and sound in the present, Only then can the ice cream loving part finally stop the damaging Haagen-Dazs habit and allow Jane to lose weight and gain the confidence to date and attract her soulmate. All of your extreme parts have positive intentions. They took on their jobs to protect you from re-experiencing pain again. So, from watching how JB talked to her protectors, what ahas came up for you as you watched this segment of the coaching session? Please post your comments below. In a nutshell, your childhood wounds created the part of you that doesn't believe you are worthy of great love. JB's unhealed brokenness attracted broken men. Like attracts like. You witnessed how important befriending and developing a relationship with the parts gave the parts the opportunity to see that they can trust JB's higher self to lead and make decisions. The army of parts got updated by JB on what has happened with her abusive relationships. When the protectors trust the higher self's leadership, that's when they will allow the self to go back to the original scenes to rescue and heal the hurt inner child parts. When the exiled inner child parts are retrieved and unburdened of their emotional load, that's when the protectors, that is, JB's army of soldiers, will let go of their extreme roles and transform into cheerleaders who will cheer her on to manifest a better man. You'll watch how JB goes back into the original scene of her trauma in parts 4 and 5 of this video series. In the meantime, if you want to gain deeper insight into how parts wreak havoc in your relationships, I have 2 resources for you so you can attract and keep your dream partner. I invite you to read my book, Climax: Why Great Leaders Need Love Affairs. In a separate video, I also developed a comprehensive slide presentation for you on what internal family systems is all about. The links to these resources are in the description box. And I'm really excited to give you a sneak preview into my next video series that will start after the last video in this series is released. You'll hear how I manifested my soulmate, Jim, through reprogramming my subconscious. Jim and I will be making videos together to show you how we've built intimacy through vulnerable conversations and conscious communication using the internal family systems, IFS, self-leadership and parts framework. We also get into some juicy details of our journey that you won't want to miss. So don't forget to click on the subscribe button so you can continue to learn about the deep secrets to manifesting epic love and navigating a multi-dimensional intimate partnership. So I'll see you in the next video.